I had moved into Maple Ridge Estates with relatively modest expectations. The neighborhood seemed pleasant enough, tree-lined streets, well-maintained lawns, the kind of place where people waved to each other during evening walks. What I didn't realize was that our HOA president, Karen Whitmore, treated the neighborhood covenants like they were constitutional amendments requiring her personal enforcement. I first met Karen 3 days after moving in. She appeared at my door holding a clipboard, her blonde bob perfectly styled, wearing what I would come to recognize as her uniform, a pastel cardigan and khaki pants that screamed, "I need to speak to your manager." "Hello, I'm Karen Whitmore, HOA president. I noticed you haven't submitted your exterior paint color approval form. Your shutters are hunter green, but according to Section 12, subsection 4, all shutters must be forest green. I'll need you to repaint them within 30 days. I looked at my shutters. They were green. Just green. I'm sorry, but isn't that a bit excessive? They're literally the same color. Her smile tightened. The covenant is very clear. Forest green. Not hunter green. There's a difference, and as HOA president, it's my responsibility to maintain our community standards. I repainted the shutters, mostly because I had bigger concerns, like setting up my home office for my consulting work. What Karen didn't know, and what wasn't immediately obvious from my modest 3-bedroom colonial, was that I had done quite well for myself. My consulting firm specialized in real estate development law, and I had connections throughout the state's legal and municipal systems. But I preferred to keep a low profile, to live simply despite having the resources to do otherwise. If you're enjoying this story of suburban warfare, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to Karen Eat World. Trust me, you won't want to miss how this plays out. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a tale of petty tyranny getting exactly what it deserves. Over the following months, Karen's visits became routine. My lawn was 1/4 inch too tall. My car was parked 6 inches over an invisible property line in my own driveway. I had placed my garbage cans out at 6:55 post-meridium instead of 7 post-meridium on trash day. Each violation came with a written warning, a verbal lecture, and the ever-present threat of fines. I handled it all diplomatically. I apologized, made corrections, kept my head down. Several neighbors quietly warned me that fighting Karen was useless. She had been HOA president for 7 years, running unopposed because nobody else wanted to deal with the headache. She had successfully fined, harassed, or driven out anyone who challenged her authority. Then October arrived, and with it, my first Halloween in Maple Ridge Estates. I had always loved Halloween. Growing up, my parents had made it magical, elaborate decorations, full-size candy bars, my dad dressing up to scare the teenagers. I wanted to recreate that experience. I purchased several $100s worth of full-size candy bars, Snickers, Milky Ways, Reese's Cups, the good stuff. I set up tasteful Halloween decorations, nothing excessive, just some pumpkins, orange lights, and a friendly ghost decoration on my porch. 2 weeks before Halloween, Karen appeared at my door. "We need to talk about your Halloween plans." I blinked. "My Halloween plans? I've noticed you've been purchasing large quantities of candy. I saw the Costco bags when you unloaded your car." She consulted her clipboard. Section 28 of our covenants clearly states that all community activities must be approved by the HOA board. That includes candy distribution. I stared at her. "You're saying I need permission to give out Halloween candy? To children? On Halloween? It's about maintaining order and safety. We can't have random homeowners creating attractive nuisances that encourage excessive foot traffic. What if someone gets injured on your property? What if there's an allergic reaction? The HOA could be liable. That's what liability insurance is for. Karen, it's Halloween. Kids go trick-or-treating. This is a normal suburban activity." Her expression hardened. "Not in Maple Ridge Estates. Not without approval. I'm calling an emergency board meeting for tomorrow night. 7 post-meridium sharp. I suggest you attend if you want to plead your case." The next evening, I sat in Karen's living room along with the other two board members, Doug Patterson, a retired accountant who clearly just went along with whatever Karen wanted, and Michelle Torres, who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. Karen sat at the head of her dining room table like a judge presiding over court. "This emergency meeting has been called to address a potential covenant violation," Karen began. "Our newest resident wishes to distribute candy on Halloween without proper authorization. I've prepared a motion to formally prohibit unsanctioned candy distribution throughout Maple Ridge Estates." Michelle raised her hand tentatively. "Karen, isn't this a bit much? I mean, Halloween has always been." "Has it though?" Karen interrupted. "When was the last time we had significant trick-or-treat activity in this neighborhood? Most responsible parents take their children to organized community events now. Allowing unsupervised candy distribution sets a dangerous precedent." Doug nodded sagely, as if Karen had just proposed a solution to world hunger. I kept my voice level. "I'm simply trying to participate in a normal holiday tradition. I'm not creating a carnival. I'm putting a bowl of candy on my porch." "A bowl?" Karen's eyes widened. "Absolutely not. Unattended candy bowls encourage theft and teenage hooliganism. If you insist on distributing candy, you must personally hand each piece to a verified neighborhood resident child with parental supervision present, and you must maintain a detailed log of all distributions for HOA records." "This is insane," I said flatly. Karen's smile could have cut glass. "This is policy. All in favor of prohibiting unsanctioned Halloween candy distribution?" Her hand shot up. Doug's followed immediately. Michelle hesitated, then reluctantly raised hers. "Motion passes. Consider yourself notified. Any violation will result in a $500 fine per incident. And since Halloween involves multiple incidents, the fines could add up quite quickly." I left that meeting understanding that reasonable discourse with Karen Whitmore was impossible. She didn't care about safety or liability. She cared about control. She had found something that brought me joy, and she couldn't tolerate that joy existing outside her authority. Over the next week, Karen went further. She sent an email blast to the entire neighborhood informing everyone that Halloween candy distribution was now prohibited. She posted signs at the neighborhood entrance. "Attention, Maple Ridge Estates does not participate in unsanctioned Halloween activities. Trick-or-treating is not permitted." She even contacted several neighbors who had mentioned Halloween plans and threatened them with fines. The neighborhood was furious, but nobody dared challenge her. Nobody except me. I started making phone calls. To my lawyer. To my contacts at the county clerk's office. To a few friends in the real estate development world. To my former colleague who now worked in the state attorney general's office. I requested copies of all HOA documents, the original development covenants, every amendment, every revision. I studied them the way I'd studied contracts when building my consulting business. And I found something interesting. Maple Ridge Estates had been developed in two phases. Phase 1, where most of the neighborhood sat, was subject to the strict HOA covenants that Karen loved to enforce. But Phase 2, a small section of 5 undeveloped lots at the neighborhood's edge, had slightly different covenant language. The developer had gone bankrupt before Phase 2 was completed, and those lots had been sold to a holding company that never built on them. They sat vacant, covered in scrub grass, technically part of Maple Ridge Estates but largely forgotten. The covenants for Phase 2 didn't include Section 28. In fact, they had several interesting differences from Phase 1. I made another call, this time to the holding company that owned those lots. As luck would have it, they were eager to sell. They'd been holding the property for 15 years, hoping the market would improve, but they were ready to cut their losses. I made an offer, well above market value for undeveloped land. They accepted immediately. Within a week, I owned all 5 lots of Phase 2, 2.5 acres of undeveloped land with direct frontage on Maple Ridge Boulevard, the main road leading into our neighborhood. Then I made more calls. To a commercial real estate developer I'd worked with previously. To a specialty attorney who handled municipal permitting. To the county zoning board. Karen had no idea what was coming. Halloween arrived. I didn't put out candy. I didn't decorate. I followed Karen's rules to the letter, even as I watched neighborhood children walk past my dark house, confused and disappointed. Several parents gave me dirty looks, not knowing I'd tried to fight for them. Karen, of course, sat in her living room with her lights off, satisfied that order had been maintained. But I was already implementing phase 1 of something much bigger. The Monday after Halloween, Karen found me in my driveway. I'm glad you came to your senses about the candy situation. See how much smoother things run when everyone follows the rules? I smiled. You know, Karen, you taught me an important lesson. Rules really do matter. Following them precisely is so important. Something in my tone made her eyes narrow. What are you talking about? Oh, I've just been doing some research into property development and covenant law. Fascinating stuff. Did you know that Phase 2 of our development has different covenants than Phase 1? Phase 2? Those empty lots? Nobody cares about those. I do. I bought them. All 5. Her face went pale. You what? I purchased the Phase 2 lots. They're mine now. And I've been working with some developer friends on an interesting project. See, those lots aren't subject to the same restrictions as the rest of the neighborhood. And according to county zoning, they're actually zoned for limited commercial use. The original developer set it up that way to potentially build a small neighborhood shopping area. It was never built, but the zoning never changed. Karen's clipboard clattered to the ground. You can't. The HOA would never approve. The HOA doesn't have authority over Phase 2 development. Different covenants, remember? I checked with 3 different real estate attorneys. I'm in the clear. What are you planning? Her voice had gone shrill. Well, since you feel so strongly about Halloween safety and organization, I thought I'd solve the problem permanently. I'm building a Halloween specialty store. Year-round. Henderson's Halloween Emporium, opening next August. 12,000 square feet of costumes, decorations, candy, and party supplies. My developer friend is very excited about it. Apparently, there's no other dedicated Halloween store within 30 miles. The market analysis looks fantastic. Karen's mouth opened and closed silently. But that's not all, I continued cheerfully. Since the property has commercial zoning and street frontage, I'm also approved for appropriate signage. We're thinking a 30-foot animatronic skeleton out front. Really eye-catching. Orange and purple lights visible from the highway. Maybe some sound effects, spooky music, that sort of thing. All within county noise ordinances, of course. This is harassment. This is retaliation. I'll sue. For what? Following the rules? Using my property legally? I thought you loved rules, Karen. I'm following every single one. Building permits, zoning compliance, covenant restrictions, all of it. I've got lawyers who have reviewed every document. This is completely, totally, absolutely legal. But the traffic. The noise. The property values. Oh, the traffic will all be on Maple Ridge Boulevard, the public road. None of it will violate neighborhood covenants. And as for property values, well, having convenient shopping nearby often increases values. Of course, your house is closest to the Phase 2 lots. You'll have the best view of my 30-foot skeleton. You might even hear the spooky sound effects if the wind blows just right. Karen's face had turned an alarming shade of purple. I'll call the county. I'll call the zoning board. I'll stop this. Good luck. I've already been through their approval process. Everything is filed, stamped, and approved. Construction starts in January. Oh, and one more thing. Since it's a year-round Halloween store, I'm planning a grand opening event next October 31st. Free full-size candy bars for all the kids in the neighborhood. No logs required. No HOA permission needed. Because they won't be on HOA property, they'll be on my commercial property, where different rules apply. I leaned in closer. You wanted to control Halloween, Karen. You wanted to make the rules. Well, now Halloween is coming to Maple Ridge Estates permanently. Every single day of the year. And there's not a single thing you can do about it, because I followed every rule, every regulation, every covenant, just like you always insisted. Thanks for the inspiration. Karen stood frozen in my driveway, her clipboard forgotten at her feet, as the full scope of what I'd done crashed over her. Her eyes darted from me to the vacant lots at the end of the street, the lots she'd never paid attention to, the lots that were about to become her worst nightmare. A year-round Halloween megastore, complete with a 30-foot skeleton, visible from her living room window, bringing traffic, noise, and endless reminder of the holiday she'd tried to ban, all completely legal because of the very covenant technicalities she'd spent years weaponizing against others. And in that moment, watching her face cycle through shock, rage, disbelief, and finally horrified understanding, I saw her grasp the beautiful irony. She had taught me to respect the rules. And I had learned that lesson perfectly. If this story of epic petty revenge warmed your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Karen Eat World. We've got plenty more tales of entitled HOA presidents getting exactly what they deserve. Ring that notification bell so you never miss the sweet, sweet sound of karma doing its work.